A different perspective, a new insight into life, a nugget of positivity and a hidden truth, and maybe an amusement for you. Welcome to From My Standpoint, a twice-a-month podcast with your host, Josh C. Jones.
Hey, I appreciate you tuning in again to From My Standpoint. I'm your host, Josh C. Jones. If this is your first time listening, then I thank you for tuning in, and if it's not, well, thank you for coming back. And don't forget that if you prefer to read, I suggest you check out the blog at FromTheirStandpoint.com. That's from THEIR standpoint.com, where I will sometimes add links and some extra information that may not be in the podcast. Am I worth it? Am I worthy? Do I deserve anything? What did I do that made any difference, that helped, or that I could be proud of? Who am I? Unworthy. I am unworthy of your praise. I am unworthy of your thanks. I am unworthy of your gifts. I am unworthy of your admiration. I did not do anything. I was not in the field. I was not overseas. I was not in combat. I was here. And so, I did not do anything worthwhile. I must refuse your generosity based on this belief. When I worked for a college's campus police office, and yes, these were certified and real police officers, and it was run like a police department, albeit, with a much smaller budget, of course. It was one office in a much larger organization of education. But when I worked for them, I was excited to be a part of a great organization that helped people by keeping them safe and protected. It was not a pure line, for me at least, but it was still a part of the blue line.
I think not.
What? No, please. I ask you, please, do not let a preconceived perception of feelings, of personal feelings, cause the immediate end to listening to this episode. Remember, this is not about us. It's not about me, and it's not about you. This episode is about our veterans, those brave men and women that willingly sacrifice everything so we can live here and have the freedoms that we do. Trust me, I am going somewhere with this. I just need to lead up to it. That is why this episode is split into two parts. Part 1 is my story and explanation to how I can relate to an emotional pit, a feeling of low self-worth, a false reality that I have heard many of our veterans also speak of. I am sure others can also relate to this as well. And that's kind of what this story, this opening thing is for. So just stay with me, please. And part 2 is all about our veterans. It is an episode of hope, of light, of thanks, of gratitude, and of truth. I decided to split it into two parts, so after people listen to both parts and hearing part 1 fully understand where I am coming from and why I chose to speak about this topic, then in part 2, they can share part 2 and help show their support and gratitude to our worthy veterans, because part 2 is all about our veterans, and they can share it and support them if they choose to. Now, when I started, I was not an officer. I was first hired as an assistant. I worked the front desk. My duties were to keep a daily log, to take care of the lost and found, to assist the officers as needed, to lock and unlock doors for personnel, and I was dispatch. And since I worked the front desk, I was the first contact with the public when they entered the office, obviously. And because of this, I also handled customer service and some public relations. I was a part of a great team, and even though I was not an actual police officer, I thought I would be making a difference. Now, when I was younger, being a police officer was one of my goals in life. Well, so was playing in the NBA, but that, I later learned, was not going to happen. I did not have the skills for that. However, having this goal to be a police officer was a big reason that when the opportunity to work with them presented itself, I jumped on it. I chose to sign up for and be a part of a service that sacrifices their time, their energy, holidays, family, resources, and sometimes even sacrifice their lives to ensure others are safe and free to pursue their liberties and educational dreams. This felt great. Yeah. However, this feeling, this belief, it did not last.
Why? What happened? Was it something someone said or did to you?
One would probably think that to be the case, random voice of questions, and yes, the negativity that befalls one from working with the police did take a toll on me for sure. I mean, people cannot be called racist and sellouts and other racist and derogatory and hateful names and judged negatively week after week and day after day for no reason other than the place they work without it eventually taking a toll. It takes a toll on you. It makes you weep for those citizens you chose to sacrifice all for to protect, that they would call you derogatory, racist, and hateful names, even though you're putting your life on the line for them. I mean, I saw a lot of hate and racism and evil in my time working with them, for sure, but it was not from the officers. It was from the citizens, the students, and sadly, some teachers and staff at that place of institution. Now, hate is there in society against law and order, and racism and prejudice exist against those in uniform. That is for sure. But that is what vacations and talking with good people is for. To take a breather, to rejuvenate, to refresh. We're there to help each other and help consult each other and bring us back to hope and to joy. But no, in this case, it was not because of the slander some people threw at me on a weekly and sometimes daily basis, names such as racist and bigot and killer and pig, and many other negative and hateful labels. Just because of who I worked with. Like I said, I was not even a police officer. I just assisted them. I worked in the office and I wasn't even in uniform. I just dressed in business casual clothes.
Prejudice, hate, and racism are matters of the mind and heart, instilled and built upon through teaching, cultivated through association, and guided by perception. It exists in all groups and in all colors.
Yeah, that is a fact, random voice of reason. And no, it was not because of that. It was not because of a lack of advancement, which did greatly help my career move in a different direction. And no, it was not because some people at the office and the overall organization, not just that department, but the overall organization, overlooked me and promises that they made. There may be only one truth, but there are always two sides to every story, and I only truly know my side and my perception with this one. But no, what made that feeling of greatness and satisfaction and happiness, thinking I was making a difference, what took that away, it was me. It was because of my perceived lack of self-awareness, my perceived lack of worth, my perceived lack of accomplishment, of help and honor, and feeling that because all I did was work in the office, that I was not actually doing anything worthwhile. At least not when compared to the other officers who actually went out and did things, went out into the field.
This is a false sense of self-worth.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could have said it better myself, random voice of reason. Thank you. Because I worked at the front desk, I was never in the field, as they say. I never got hands-on. I never went over there to the action. In fact, I never really saw any action or was directly involved in any happening. Believe it or not, the majority of all happenings that required the police did not happen on my shift.
If the happenings occurred when you were not on duty, then were you a part of the happenings?
Oh, random voice of questions. No, I was not. It was just a coincidence or a blessing, depending on how one wants to look at it. Anyway, because I was stuck in the office and I never saw any action, I began to see myself as worthless to the department, to the people the department and job were there to serve and protect, to any honor or generosity extended to me for the line of work I was in. I did not see any of my work directly involved in any happening. Thus, I did not see any tangible evidence that anything I was doing was of any worth. I did not do anything. So why should I take any credit for any help? I did not deserve any thanks or credit. The officers who were in the action deserved it all, not me. I deserved nothing. This was my perception. It was how I felt and what I allowed my emotion to influence me to believe. Man, when I let my feelings and emotions control me rather than controlling them, my belief and my perception of myself and of life gets skewed and messed up. I thank God that He helps me get back on the right path time and time again. Man. Anyway, this is a feeling that through my discussion and time spent with our brave military warriors, our highly respected veterans, that I have heard expressed time and time again.
This is a false sense of self-worth.
And once again, you are correct, random voice of reason. And that is why I believe I can talk even just a little bit about this subject and try to bring some light, some hope, some truth to this false and damaging sense of self-worth. I was there. I felt it. I sunk and drowned in it. I, through God's help and the help of others, climbed out of that self-depraved pit I willingly kept digging for myself during that dark and depressing time. My pit, I'm sure, did not go as deep as many others. And I praise God that it did not take me 6 feet down. And I pray that this message will reach some of you who might be in a similar pit. And I truly hope this message will reach and resonate with our brave, respected, honored, and absolutely worthy veterans. So please, please, please listen to part 2, where I transition the focus from the leading intro of my situation and my story to that of my fathers and that of veterans in similar places. And walk and stand with me as we show our thanks and gratitude to our 100% valiant and worthy heroes, our military soldiers, our veterans, our friends, and our family. Don't forget to check out the other great shows at www.fromtheirstandpoint.com. And if you even slightly liked what you've heard in these podcasts so far, please rate, review, and share. If you have not yet subscribed, then I encourage you to subscribe to From My Standpoint to ensure you receive a reminder when new episodes are released. You can follow me on Facebook at FM Standpoint, on Instagram at From My Standpoint, or visit the website www.fromtheirstandpoint.com. That's from THEIR standpoint.com, and click on my show, From My Standpoint. And now, what you've all been waiting for. It's the wisdom of Dad Joke. Life is a journey of ups and downs. We may all find ourselves in our very own pits, digging deeper and deeper in a desperate search for our self-worth, believing we'll never find either. In these times, it is important to understand that we are not alone. We are never alone. There is always one who never stops loving us. And there are always those who do truly care for and about us, even if we no longer do. If you take one thing away from this wisdom, I hope it is this. Remember, we are flesh and bone, and we are never truly alone. We do not have to be like the skeleton who never went trick-or-treating, because he had no body to go with.
This has been From My Standpoint, a podcast to find a nugget of positivity and a hidden truth, encouraging and enlightening insight, entertaining a new perspective, and providing an amusement for you. We hope you were entertained, encouraged, enlightened, and enjoyed the show.